Hunter Biden criminally indicted on 3 felony charges for lying when he tried to buy the gun. He said he wasn't on drugs. Turns out in his book, he said he was doing crack cocaine every 15 minutes around that same time period. So we saw the sweetheart deal blow up in court. That didn't work out the way they wanted it to. And now the special prosecutor, Weiss, has slapped him with all these charges. He could face 25 years in prison.
And remember, the judge basically forced Weiss to bring these charges. It's coming up against the statute of limitations. These are the few charges that can't be tied to the big guy, 10% Joe. It'll be interesting. We had Greg Jarrett on earlier saying it's he doesn't see a very vigorous prosecution of this, but it's an opportunity for the White House and for the Justice Department to say, oh, we're going after Hunter too. We're being fair here.
Right. So here is the president yesterday. He does not want to take any questions. Remember, he was on vacation, and he was so afraid to take a question. When asked about how do you feel about the devastation in Hawaii, he said no comment. And again, he finishes this speech in front of a small crowd and says this at the end.
Let me close with this. And there's a lot more I know we could talk about. I wish I had a chance to take all your questions, but I'm going to get in real trouble if I do that.
Who's he getting in trouble with? I mean, he's the president of the United States. He's the top guy. Who's above him? Who's going to get mad at him? Who's yelling at him? But it sounds like someone is. Because like you said, he's scared to even make a comment about Maui.
Right. The other thing is you hear behind closed doors, people are afraid to deal with him because he's got such a volatile temper. So I don't know how those two worlds collide. By the way, the message is getting through for those people who see two wheels, two pathways when it comes to justice. A total of 28% of voters were not very confident that the DOJ probe into Hunter Biden's alleged tax and gun crimes were being handled in a fair and unbiased way. 22% were not at all confident. So over 50% have low confidence in the Department of Justice. So Joe Biden can say whatever he wants about separation between both entities. No one sees it that way.
Yeah, they've earned those numbers based on how this whole thing is unfolded, the deal that was supposed to happen that didn't happen. Now you get these charges. Will they plead out on these as well? Problem is, the interesting part of this, we were talking to legal analysts, he pled guilty. He was willing to plead guilty to the gun charge in the previ's deal.
Right.
Now when he's arraigned, how do you plead not guilty to the gun charges after doing so before? There's a lot of legal jeopardy there, but again, there's a potential for a plea deal considering Weiss and everything he's done to sweep things under the rug for the Biden family. Now he's in charge of how this plays out. By the way, former President Donald Trump was on NBC Nightly News and reacted to the Hunter indictment. Here he is.
Mr. President, can you continue to say that there are two systems of justice?
Well, I think there's no question about it. He had a plea deal that was the deal of the century, the art of the deal. You could write a book on it, the art of the deal. And all of a sudden that was broken up by a judge who was able to, a brilliant judge actually, who was able to see through what was happening. And it's a sad situation. I mean, nobody should be happy about this.
So the President of the United States sits down with NBC, who spends 22 of 24 hours a day ripping him. And if he does something good, they'll talk about something else. And he still sits down and talks to him, does an hour forum with CNN, who lives off Donald Trump, negative coverage of Donald Trump.
And their network imploded after it.
Right. And by the way, you have a president of the United States who hasn't spoken to us since July, and he's actually making the decisions. And it's not, to me, it shouldn't be a choice. You have an obligation to explain to us what you are doing and what you are thinking. And clearly, he just doesn't feel as though he needs to explain anything.
Or he will get in real trouble if he does that with whoever slaps Joe on the wrist and says, don't you do that.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.